TikTok may push harmful content to its young users.
The popular video app is purposefully addictive for kids.
The app and its algorithm can harm children's mental health.
The TikTok platform is like digital nicotine.
TikTok. TikTok.
TikTok.
TikTok.
TikTok.
I'm sure at this point, you're tired of hearing just how dangerous TikTok is. From data privacy concerns to deadly challenges, brain rot, doom scrolling. It seems like everything bad about TikTok has been talked about at length. But what if I told you that there's an even more dangerous side to TikTok? One that is so depraved, it's borderline criminal. And that at the center of it all are some of the most degenerate influencers, scratch that, human beings, that you'll ever come across. Let me paint a picture for you. You're out at dinner with your partner and young child, just trying to have a nice meal. Across the table from you is a young couple also having a meal. Everything is going great until around 30 minutes in, when the lady beside you starts moaning uncontrollably as her boyfriend fiddles with a remote control on one hand and makes a video of her with his smartphone on the other. You're disgusted and leave the restaurant in horror, only to find yourself in a TikTok video later that night that already has 500,000 likes and people in the comments cheering the creators on. This sounds like a fever dream, like something that only happens in those movies you watch in incognito mode, but not anymore. TikTok is trying to normalize this depravity. Just scroll through the app and you'd see a disturbing number of influencers in the KinkTok community going out with RCVs that are activated in public. It's one thing to do this in the privacy of your own home, but why bring it out in public for other people who didn't consent to participate in your fetish? Even worse, why upload it to TikTok, a platform that is famously known for being a kids app? This is Eve. At first glance, she and her boyfriend seem like every other couple sharing a random day of shopping with us, until you watch for more than 3 seconds. It starts with the suggestive puns.
You're taking a really long time looking at beans.
Yeah, sorry, I can't seem to find your bean on the shelf.
Oh my god.
While that's already cringe enough, they take it a step further by doing this.
I'm great for you, aren't I?
Why are you showing us a video of your partner choking you? Why do we need to see that you enjoy it when he does that? Even more damning is the fact that this is being done in public. They obviously aren't in a bedroom or in the Walmart store all by themselves. I mean, it's Walmart. What's even worse, it's supposed to be a child-friendly store, and the particular aisle where this was filmed actually has products for young people. It's one thing if this was filmed in an adult store, but it seems like these people get off on being seen by everyone, and that's just disturbing.
I know you're not salad, but I still want you in my mouth.
Where is the decorum? Where is the shame? Now, before you start talking about how I'm kink shaming, I just want to clarify that I'm not. Kinks are normal. A 2024 study revealed that up to 30% of people have engaged in it, with another study showing that almost 70% of people have at least one BDSM fantasy. If you have a foot fetish or get turned on by cosplaying, you're not alone.
Oops, got what secretly turns you on.
And it's fine, but there is a way to share and talk about these things in a way that isn't disrespectful to everyone around you. It presents the information in such a way that only people who are involved in the community, or at least understand it, will get the reference. That way, those who do not want to be involved are not forced to be participants. The problem with KinkTok is that it has turned all of us into non-consenting voyeurs. And because of the infinite scrolling nature of TikTok, you don't have to search these things out, or even press play for you to watch it.
So I was actually thinking about...
About what, princess?
Well, now I can't think.
Oh no.
It's highly unlikely that they'll stop though. You know why? Because we have people cheering them on in the comments section. The influencer insanity on apps like TikTok milks people's desire to be liked by everyone. These influencers are so obsessed with the number of views they get that they will do anything to keep them coming. I wouldn't be shocked if this entire thing was scripted just to get views. If Eve and her boo were the only ones fanning the flames of extreme kink talk, there wouldn't be a cause for alarm, but they're not. This is Piper, a DIY pet play creator on KinkTok. Pet play is a kind of kink where one partner acts like an animal, usually a dog, while the other cosplays the owner. It's a fetish, so it's expected to be bizarre. But what happens when this pet play is taken to the public? We now have couples going on walks, except one partner is down on all fours with a leash around their neck. The other person holds on to this leash, and they engage in their dog kink by playing fetch, scooping up meals with their mouths, and running the entire dog circus in public. Apart from the blatant disregard for other people that videos like this promote, it's important to address the fact that they're oversimplifying the complex dynamics involved in relationships like this. Here's what I mean. Kinks are weird, and that's what makes them so attractive. For you to get to a point where you can engage in such practices with your partner, you must have had loads of conversations on consent, trust, communication, and safety. That's far from what these influencers depict, and if it is present at all, it is grossly oversimplified. It's a known fact that BDSM practices, for instance, are risky and can be unsafe, but they're not portraying it that way. Studies have shown that non-natural death in BDSM is a legitimate concern, with asphyxiation due to strangulation and intoxication being the most common causes. Yet, when you check out the comment sections of KinkTok, you'll find kink apologists going on and on about how participants seem to be consenting. If there's one thing we know from life, though, it's that people often do things they're not comfortable with in the heat of the moment. Besides, portraying kinks like this makes others view them through rose-colored glasses. It's also wild that TikTok has policies against some of these debased behaviors, yet nothing seems to be done about their existence on the platform. Let's not forget that TikTok is still a kids app. Think about the millions of kids that are being exposed to content like this, who may end up romanticizing abusing and toxic relationship dynamics under the guise of exploring themselves. Videos like this will coerce young people into engaging in such practices without proper understanding of why it's done, how it should be done, if at all, and how to do it safely. All they see is a TikTok challenge they want to recreate without understanding everything that goes into making it. Without proper context of the intricacies of kinks like BDSM, we'll be regressing as a society to a time when people were objectified and treated based on what they could offer behind closed doors. Only now, the doors aren't even being closed anymore. Instead, we're being invited into a world none of us asked to be part of, and so are the children. KinkTok is working hard to normalize behaviors that are considered criminal in many parts of the world. That man just flashed his girlfriend, not at home, not in a hotel room, not even in a car, but in the aisle of a supermarket where anybody could have randomly appeared. Not to mention the security guys on the CCTV who would have to bear the horror of seeing such things without their consent. This couple in New York took things way further than anyone could have imagined. These people were going at it full throttle in the middle of a public park. Can you see the number of kids playing around in that video? This is how society spirals into utter depravity if left unchecked. How long before the sheets come off and kids are forced to watch and participate in this debauchery? Speaking of kids, this is the worst of the worst with KinkTok. Pedophiles are becoming more brazen with their supposed fetish and are putting it on display for all to see. Take a look for yourself. Maybe if this was a one-time post, we'd say it was probably a mistake, but there are dozens of similar videos on this account talking about the same thing. You know the crazy part? He amassed over 2 million followers by uploading content like this. You'd think that everyone would call for his account to be taken down, or even more logically, for him to be arrested. To be fair, there are some comments that rightly called him out, but there were others that are just as debased. Where do we draw the line? Maybe kinks aren't supposed to be shameful, but can we all agree that they are supposed to be private at least? None of us should care what anyone does behind closed doors, as long as it's between two consenting adults. But let's not forget basic decency and decorum, especially in public spaces where non-consenting individuals and kids are just trying to live their lives. Creating content like this for shock value and views is something we must all collectively reject, especially because it will have real-life consequences. Life is not 50 Shades of Grey, and if the franchise is anything to go by, exploring kinks, especially potentially harmful ones, is not something to be treated lightly. And of course, no one wants to be an actor in a movie they didn't audition for, which is exactly what these influencers are doing to their audiences, both online and IRL. So what's the way forward? We should start with TikTok being held responsible for the kind of content it allows on its platform. It's not enough to have policies about not condoning certain types of content. The company should also implement safeguards and checks to prevent such practices. However, if this is something TikTok is fine with having on its platform, it must find a way to restrict it to those who are interested, especially given how sensitive it is. Maybe a page separate from the For You page that gives you the option to skip potentially sensitive content, like what platforms like Reddit and Twitter offer. We must also address the state of our society and this growing culture of doing just about anything for views. Cancel culture is brutal, but there are some things that actually should be canceled. We must learn to draw the line where necessary. I'll wrap this up by reiterating that having kinks is not a crime. There's no denying that it can add some color to your life and relationships, and no one should be stigmatized for having them. Instead, we should call for more healthy spaces for people to express their desires. However, such spaces must be private and well controlled, and definitely not online, or at least not on platforms where children are given free access. The internet is a shared space, just like the planet we live on. No one is asking lovers of kinky content to leave altogether. However, we must not forget human values of consideration for one another and decency. And if there are people who pose a threat to these, we should not be afraid to speak out against them as we strive to create a safe environment for us all. KinkTok is terrible for kids, and so is brain rot content. Watch this video next to find out all about that.